The Johannesburg Council is in turmoil once again. Colleen Makhubele has been booted out of COPE, forcing her to vacate her speaker position. This came after she said the party was joining a new formation known as the SA Rainbow Alliance, or SARA. Makhubele has now been appointed president of SARA. Action SA is now demanding an urgent special session to appoint a new speaker here in the Joburg Council. eNCA reporter Pule Letshwiti Jones following developments and is joining us now just to give us a sense of what is Johannesburg Council waking up to this morning. Good morning, Pule. So what's happening now? I mean, Colleen Makhubele is out of COPE, therefore she's no longer a council speaker, and she's very firm that she did nothing wrong. But the City Council now has to move to find a replacement. What's the latest? What can you tell us?
So, President, according to the Municipal Structures Act, as far as we understand, once a speaker steps down or resigns, the council has then 14 days to appoint a new speaker, of course, who would be elected as well through IEC processes. And this would come as a result of the parties in councils then submitting names for their preferred candidates and then voting. And this process will then be presided over the city manager as well. As far as we've been looking into this issue, it seems as though there were crucial items that were supposed to be passed into council this month. This would have been council's last session for the year as well, as they close for the break as well. But there are important issues such as service delivery, discussions that have to take place, and other related matters speaking to the city's budget, and of course crucial appointees for certain departments in the city. And we also know that the DA has been vocal in saying that council, the City of Johannesburg Council, must be dissolved as well. I'm speaking now to the Joburg caucus leader, Belinda. Thank you very much for chatting to me and making time for us this morning. Perhaps maybe let's just start with what this means for the multi-party charter as well, the coalition front, yourselves and other partners, now that the speaker has been ousted from COPE, and this subsequently has an impact on council proceedings as there is no longer a speaker.
Let me just first of all thank you so much, Pule. There is no coalition in the opposition in Johannesburg. Remember, the coalition stopped when we were voted out, first of all. We are in the opposition, and we are the leader of the opposition in council, obviously, as the DA. Firstly, what happens when a speaker has been removed? Oops, sorry. What happens when a speaker has been removed is obviously a council sitting has to be called within 14 days. Okay. We have a fundamental problem with every party that's part of the current governing coalition, because we believe they were part of some of the irregular decisions that were made in council. So we don't believe that just electing another speaker is going to solve the problems of council, because a lot of those issues have not been resolved, the governance issues, and some of those other issues have not been resolved. It doesn't necessarily mean that service delivery would stop, because remember, the administration does service delivery. Currently, because we have, obviously, there's still the COO in the city, the city manager's obviously appealed his case, so he's still there until that appeal is obviously being heard, which we are opposing, obviously. So service delivery can happen. Also, we have entities, municipal entities in the city, they're supposed to implement service delivery. So those service delivery can continue, but the unfortunate part is, because of the squabbling that's happening currently within this governing coalition, we're seeing a complete degradation of service delivery within the city. So it's possible that service delivery can happen. It's possible that the city manager can still call a council sitting. And unfortunately now, obviously today, we don't know whether that programming committee is going to sit at all, because there's no speaker and only the speaker can call the programming committee. So obviously everything is a bit in limbo at the moment.
But that on its own does it then not affect the proceedings of council, for the fact that the programming committee has to approve some of the items that have to be presided over within council as well?
Correct. The programming committee does, obviously, they have to, decide which items come through to council, which puts things on hold in a little bit, and it brings a little bit more instability within the city when it comes to the actual business of council and its ability to sit and make decisions. So it makes it very unstable at this point. Yeah.
Your motion, an attempt to try to dissolve council as well, do you not think this would further delay things in the city of Johannesburg in terms of the stability, not only in council, but for the residents as well?
Let me put another spanner in the works. The mayor, currently, we've had a water crisis. We're just going to go zoom into why some of the reasons are. We are saying that just changing the mayor, just changing the speaker is not going to solve the problems of Johannesburg. The mayor, we had the Minister of Water Affairs, which the DA pushed and questioned and petitioned written letters to the executive mayor for the water crisis to be dealt with. The minister came. The mayor did not pitch up. Residents were there. It was after some long proceedings that the mayor eventually pitched up. For us, it shows it's not serious about service delivery and about the residents of Johannesburg. We have posed questions to the executive about service delivery related issues. This resident that you've just met, some of the questions that they have asked me to post in council have not been answered. Some of the water issues, the power issues, some of the streets that you see are not being taken care of, the reinstatements and things like that. So some of those reports that are supposed to come to council is not coming to council. The legislative part of council, which is where the speaker obviously have preside over, some of those rulings that she's made, some of the decisions that she's made, some of the reports that she's allowed, which we felt she didn't even have the authority to write those reports, because there are reports that you've alluded to in our previous discussion that the city manager was talking about. Some of that the speaker has brought to council, and the leader of executive business should have brought some of those reports. So we believe that not only have the executive arm of council failed, but the legislative arm of council have failed in terms of not only what was brought to council, but the content of those reports and the allowing of reports that are irregular in council. So we believe that if we put the reset button, if both arms of council have failed, the only solution is then dissolve if both arms of council dissolve it, and then give the residents an opportunity within 90 days to elect a new party, and we believe we'll get a different outcome. We'll probably get a clearer majority of which party would run the city of Johannesburg, and then we will be able to make better decisions and be able to ensure that what we have started with Dr. Palatse as the DA mayor at the time will continue, because a lot of those programs had been paused.
Just lastly, before I let you go, of course, there's an appeal right now in regards to the court decision that was taken, the council bringing that appeal. And we've now seen that the ANC has issued out a statement saying that what was shocking in this regard is that Mr. Brink was ultimately appointed city manager based on DA recruitment processes. What does this say? Are you then expecting a different outcome from this leave to appeal that has been filed as well?
We believe the ANC is using stalling tactics. First of all, it is untrue that Mr. Brink was appointed based on a DA recommendation. Initially, if I take you back, and Mr. Brink was recommended as the second candidate. That was before some vetting issues were raised. Once the vetting issues were raised, we then said, instead of continuing with the second candidate, let us put out re-advertise for a city manager, start afresh, and ensure that we get the right candidate who might not have vetting issues. They have decided, as the ANC and the GLU, to bring that report to council and rescind that decision. So they blocked reports, because there was another report that was brought to council that actually recommended a different candidate as well. They blocked that report, and Councillor Makhubele was one of the people that ensured that that report get blocked, and that rather the report to rescind the decision to re-advertise be brought to council. So they purposely created the scenario to ensure that Mr. Brink becomes the city manager, disregarding all the rules everything else.
So you're saying they overlooked other candidates such as Mr. Johan Medler, who's now the city manager of Tshwane, and there were about 4 candidates. One did not pitch for the interview. 3 of them did, including Mr. Brink, who was the second candidate. Are you saying they overlooked the other candidates as well in favor of Mr. Brink? Because we're now also hearing allegations that, in fact, Mr. Johan Medler allegedly had a meeting with the former mayor, Pule, and that's the reason why he was not eligible for that position of city manager.
That's not true. Mr. Medler took up a position in Tshwane. And obviously he became unavailable when he took up that position in Tshwane. The ANC is very economical with the truth, for lack of a better phrase. It is not true that Mr. Medler was removed because of the meeting, or so-called meeting, which we still have to get proof of, with the former mayor. There were other candidates. They blocked reports for those other candidates. And that is why we said, seeing that there's challenges with bringing this report, the report was blocked. And we said then, there's vetting issues, reports are blocked. Let's re-advertise. Let's start again, press the reset button. And the report was brought to council again with a candidate. They blocked that report and instead came to rescind every other decision that was done under the multi-party government to ensure that Mr. Brink becomes the city manager. And obviously we can't ignore, we're a party of good governance as the DA. We cannot ignore if there are vetting issues that are brought about a particular candidate. If we ignore it, what does that say of us? That we are no different than the ANC, we believe, is a corrupt party, as we have seen that in the Zondo Commission. There are people that facilitated state capture. And we cannot allow the same kind of situation to happen in the city of Johannesburg, because we believe now, with Mr. Brink there, the city is captured.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, we'll have to follow up on those allegations as well. That's Belinda, of course, the Joburg caucus leader for the DA, speaking to us as well. Quite a lot that's going on in the city of Johannesburg, Dan, around who will be the new Speaker of Johannesburg, and also the city manager's future being in question here, with that process currently being in the court. So we'll be speaking to other political parties as well as the day unfolds, and get a bit more of analysis as to what is in stake for the residents of the city of Johannesburg.
Thank you very much. Pule Letshwiti Jones there, looking ahead. It's trouble always in the city of Johannesburg.